Okay, welcome back to part 2 of our rebuild of the Orioles using Rule 5 draft only players. Here we can see where our team ranks compared to everyone else, and they are fairly low. Ranked 30th in just about every category that they measure. We've already simmed through the spring training, so we can see that the Orioles actually had a pretty good spring training. So maybe that bodes well for them in the regular season. It's opening day and we're matched up against the Rays with Snell on the bump. Let's take a look at our starters and the bench. Okay, so here we see all of our Rule 5 picks in their positions. Starters ready to go. Doesn't look like we've got a championship team here, but certainly a lot of potential. Okay, prediction time. Who do you think is going to end up with the best career overall? Pick a player now. As we follow them through their career, we'll see if you were right. Next up, we've got our rotation. We can see it's very light. These are very low ranked players. This might be a rough year for the Orioles with this pitching staff. All right, here's a look at our team in their potentials. So we've got a nice young team with a lot of potential. Hopefully we don't ruin these guys by bringing them up too early. All right, so we're going to get the season started. We will sim through the first game and we'll take a look at how they do. Alright, so a promising start for our team. 4-2 loss, but still a good showing. Bride had 2 hits and an RBI, and then Holloway actually had a good start. Outdueled by Snell perhaps, but still a very promising start, going 7 innings, allowing only 2 runs. Okay, let's see how the Orioles fare. So they've got a few losses here. Looking for their first win, haven't gotten it. Ooh, a tough 1-0 loss followed by a 20-0 loss. Ouch, that one's going to hurt. We might want to stay with them until they get their first win, see if they can... There it is, 11-4. All right, so they've got their first win. Rough start for the squad, but you got to believe, right? On the bright side of things, this is better than the 88 Orioles who lost their first 21 in a row. So even if we're not better than last year's team, we're better than them. Okay, so we're going to sim out the first season and then check in on how the Orioles do as a team by the end of the year and how each of our individual players fare. Okay, so the season is over and our Orioles rocked an amazing 33-129 season. I'm going to say that that's harder to do than winning 129 games. They had a 1-win September. You try to do that. I dare you. Let's take a look at this team. First up, we've got Christian Fuentes. He had a pretty good average at 262, but a bad OPS at 670. Had a positive 1.9 WAR. He must be the best defensive center fielder since Ken Griffey Jr. Alright, next up we've got our DH Wong. He had 236 with an OPS of 650 and a negative 0.6 WAR. So not a great season. Checking in on number 3 hitter is our second baseman Torres. He hit 266, and even with that average, still only managed an OPS of 652. He also had a negative 0.3 WAR, so another failed campaign. His range factor is over 4. I'm not sure what a good range factor is, so if anyone knows, you can just leave it down in the comments. Now we get to our first baseman and cleanup hitter, Frank Schwindel. He hit 255 and slugged 21 home runs, but had only an average OPS of 706, and ended up with a negative 0.1 WAR. Okay, next up is the big thumper Lucas over at third base. He had a 250 average and had an OPS of 770, so that's getting pretty good. With a positive 0.7 WAR, was able to slug 20 home runs. Alright, rounding out the middle of our order is our catcher Devi. He was our lone all-star this year. He hit 220 with an abysmal 626 OPS, but did end up with a positive WAR of 1. Alright, heading to the bottom of the order, we have our first pick, shortstop Terran. He hit 235. With an OPS of 676, did pop 19 home runs and ended up with a 1.8 WAR, so not a terrible season, but certainly needs to build on that. Alright, our number 8 hitter is our right fielder, Cousins. He had an abysmal season, hitting only 186 with a terrible 528 OPS and an astounding negative 3.9 WAR. Right fielders simply just have to do better than those numbers. Okay, rounding out our starting 9 is left fielder Austin Dean. If you can believe it, he had an equally bad year. He hit 186 with a 505 OPS and a negative WAR of 2.5. So the outfield simply not producing. Alright, so we're just going to run through our bench real quick. We've got Minson, our backup center fielder. He hit 237 with a 608 OPS and a WAR of 0.2. Our left fielder, Denton, hit 185, had an OPS of an unbelievable 354 and a negative 1.8 WAR. How you can get that off the bench is beyond me. Our backup catcher Travis hit 173 with an OPS of 436 and a negative 0.4 WAR. Our backup infielder Bride, third baseman, hit 198, OPS of 575, and somehow managed a negative 0 WAR, so there's an accomplishment. Okay, so we'll take a look at the pitchers in a second, but I think we can say that the hitting side of our experiment has gone terribly awry. Hopefully we didn't ruin these guys' careers. Alright, let's take a look at how our starting staff did. Not too hot. Holloway, 1-15, ERA +5, and a whip at 1.69. De Los Santos, 2-20, so a 20-game loser, 5.5 plus ERA, and a whip at 1.65. Camarena had a 3-17 record, an ERA over 5, and a 1.6 whip. Alright, Chllenge finished with a 5-22 record with a 6.43 ERA and a whip at 1.53. So we had the most losses and the best whip of our starters. Bain finished with an 8-16 record, so he had the most wins among starters, 6+ ERA and a 1.65 whip. So going off these results, I would say it's not a good idea to draft your entire starting 5 from the Rule 5 draft. Alright, last up is our bullpen. Let's take a look. We've got our 6th starter, Dario, at 4-7 with a 5.19 ERA and a whip at 1.78. So terrible. Chllenge, 0-5, an ERA at 8.54 with a whip at 2.36. Absolutely abysmal. Peterson went 1-5 with an ERA at 6.54 and a whip at 1.86. The only lefty in the bullpen, Steele, went 2-1. He's also the only player on the team to have a winning record. Had an ERA at 9 and a whip at 2.09. McKee went 2-3 with an ERA at 5.05, which is actually pretty good for this team, and a whip at 1.60. Guillen had one of the worst seasons, went 1-3 with a 7.06 ERA and a whip over 2, while our closer Miller went 1-5, an ERA at 5.71, a whip at 1.53, pretty good for this team. Had 21 saves, a good strikeout per 9s at 11, and ended up with a FIP at 3.49, so a pretty good FIP. Alright, so that season was a complete disaster. Starting pitching failed, hitting failed, bullpen failed, all around. Do not draft your entire roster from the Rule 5 draft. Now you know. What we'll do the rest of the way is we will see where these players' careers end up. We'll follow them for a few years, and we will check in on them in 2027, see who was able to stay in the bigs, who went to the minors, who retired early, all that fun stuff. Just an FYI, those ridiculous 120-win Dodgers do in fact win the World Series. The computers made a lot of changes to our roster. Only 6 of our original members still remain in the starting 9. That would be our leadoff hitter Fuentes in center, the DH Wong, second baseman Torres, shortstop Lucas, first baseman Schwindel, and catcher Gruyen are all still in the starting 9. Computer wasted no time in getting rid of our number 1 pick, Terrian. Meisner, Dean, Travis, and Bride have all been relegated to the bench. On the pitching side, we have Holloway as the only remaining member of the starting 5, while Chllenge, Miller, Black, and Guillen have been kept in the bullpen. If you don't see someone's name, that means they've either been demoted or traded. Let's see if these guys can develop over time with some new talent around them, maybe do better than they did last year. Here we are at the end of 2022, and the Orioles finished with a 58-104 record, so better, but not that much so. Only Wong, Lucas, Gruyen, and Meisner are in the starting 9 at this point, while Denton and Cousins are on the bench. Holloway continues to serve as the 5th man in the rotation. We'll jump back in next year and see who's left on this team. Here we go, end of 2023. Orioles finished with a respectable 68-94 record, getting back to a realistic looking record. As for the starters, we only have Wong and Gruyen left at all on the Major League roster for position players. In the starting 5, Holloway is holding on to his 5 spot, and Chllenge is the last reliever. So if you had Chllenge on your bingo card for last reliever, give yourself an X. 2024, a step back for the Orioles as they finish with a 60-102 record, so another 100-loss season. Wong and Gruyen are the last 2 members of our draftees to be on the Major League roster. There are no more of our players on the pitching staff. Go a few more years, and then 2027 we'll check in on where each of our original draftees are. Okay, here we are in 2027. Oddly enough, the Orioles finished with the 71-91 record, which is the exact same record they had at the start of this mess. Lucas is the only player that we drafted that was able to make it all the way through and remain a starter for the Orioles. Meisner found his way back to the team, and he is on the bench. We have no other players of the original 26 that are still on the Major League roster besides those 2. Alright, so what we're going to do now is hunt down all of the players from our original draft and see what kind of career they each had. First up, we'll go with Jordan Holloway. He was our longest serving starter. He had a 4-year career with the O's before moving on to Boston. He's gone 24-79 with a career ERA north of 5.5. Somehow he has accumulated a career WAR of positive 2.3. How this guy carved out a major league career is beyond me. Next up, we've got Lawrence Bain. He's a starting pitcher. He was our 6th pick. He is now a minor leaguer for the Indians organization. He had a 2-year major league career with the Orioles, finishing with an 8-17 record and a 6.28 ERA, so he did not pan out. Continuing through our initial rotation, we have Steven Chllenge. He was our number 3 starter and our 20th pick. He's currently with the AAA affiliate of the Orioles. He also only had a 2-year career, accumulating a 7-34 record with an ERA north of 5.5. Now let's take a look at our 4th starter and our 18th pick. It's Daniel Camarena. He was up and down for the Orioles and is currently with their AA affiliate. Major league career-wise, he accumulated a 10-26 record with an ERA at 5.29. Next up, we've got our 17th pick, Dario Agrazal. He's currently with the Durham Bulls of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. He pitched in the majors for only the 2021 season after we picked him up and finished his career with an 8-12 record and an ERA at 5.1. Aniel De Los Santos was drafted 13th and is currently with the Milwaukee Brewers. He has pitched in part of 7 major league seasons, only 2 of which were with the O's. He still has a few years left in the tank at only 31. Currently he sports a 36-45 record with a 4.66 ERA and a positive career WAR of 3.1. So for our 6 drafted starters, Aniel clearly carved out the best career. Alright, let's take a look at how our bullpen did. We'll run through these in the order in which they were drafted. First drafted in the bullpen was our 7th pick, Tyler Kolek. He's currently with the Red Sox. He's carved out a pretty decent major league career. Had 3 years with the O's and 3 years with the Red Sox. He's currently sporting a 13-21 record with 39 career holds and an abysmal ERA at 7.24. So while he has had a long career, it is a disappointment that such a high draft pick would not pan out. Next up, we have our other top 10 pick, Corey Black, who was chosen at number 9. He's currently with the AAA affiliate of the O's, the Tides. He's had only a 2-year major league career, both of those years with the O's. He had a 2-3 record, 19 holds, 3 saves, and 7 blown saves with an ERA at 5.43. He was initially our closer, but lost that role fairly quickly. Alright, Michael Peterson will round out the last of our top 10 picks coming out of the draft. He was picked at number 10. He's currently with the Indians. He had a 1-year career with the O's and has had a 2-year career with the Indians. He did end up having a good 2027 season. Career-wise, he is 6-10 with 29 holds and an ERA at 5.09. Not a complete bust, but certainly not worthy of a top 10 pick. Just missing the top 10 was number 11 pick Evan Steele. He's currently with the AAA affiliate for the Rangers, the Express. He pitched in the majors for only 1 year, and that was with the O's, sporting a 2-1 record with an ERA at 9. He's only 31, and his stats show that he could still actually be a good pitcher, so there might be a future for him somewhere. Evan Miller was our 12th pick. He's currently with the Detroit Tigers. He had a 2-year career with the O's and has a 4-year career going with the Tigers. Career-wise, he has a 19-23 record with 22 saves on 17 blown saves and 39 holds, with a career ERA at 5.58. Major League service time-wise, he certainly is the winner from our bullpen. 2 more coming out of the bullpen. Next up, we have our 14th pick, Colin McKee. He's currently with the AAA affiliate for the Phillies. He's had a 2-year major league career, 1 year with the Orioles and 1 with the Brewers. He's sort of bounced around from organization to organization. Currently has a win-loss record of 6-12 with 22 holds and a respectable 4.33 ERA. Last out of the bullpen was our number 15 pick, Alexander Guillen. He's currently with the AAA affiliate for the White Sox, the Knights. He had a 2-year career with the O's, finishing with a 7-6 win-loss record and a 6.19 ERA. So if we had to pick a winner out of any of these players for who performed best out of the bullpen, career-wise, I would have to go with Evan Miller, currently of the Tigers. He had a 6-year career and an actual halfway decent ERA of 5.58. Certainly not a good ERA, but kept him in the majors. Okay, so very few pitchers came out of that draft and had a successful career. Let's move on and take a look if our starting 9 and bench fared any better. Alright, we'll start with our catcher, Devi Gruyen. He's currently with the AAA Bees, an Angels affiliate. He was our lone all-star that first year. He's only 31, but he's declining pretty rapidly. He played 1 season with the Phillies, did stick around 6 seasons with the O's, and is currently in his first year with the Angels. He has a career average of .217, a .625 OPS, has jacked 84 homers, and currently has a WAR of 7.9. Next, we move to our backup catcher, Jacob Travis. He was our 21st pick, picked right in front of Devi, and he's currently with the Yankees. He ended up just 2 seasons with the O's and 3 seasons with the Yankees. His best year was in 2026. Career numbers wise, he has a .221 average, an OPS of .590, has hit only 11 home runs, and a negative .0.1 WAR. Our starting first baseman, Frank Schwindel, was our 16th pick. He had 1 year with KC before we got a hold of him, and he stuck around for 3 years with the O's. Currently, he is with the Orioles AAA team, the Tides. He had a good 2021 season, but couldn't replicate it, and his poor fielding doomed him to failure. He currently has a .227 career batting average with a .629 OPS, has hit only 31 home runs, which is not enough for a first baseman, and a negative .2.5 WAR. Moving on to our starting second baseman, Ronald Torres. He was our 23rd pick and played in part of 7 seasons in the major leagues. 1 with the Dodgers, 3 with the Yanks, 1 with the Twins, and 2 more with the O's. Another poor fielder out there. Career-wise, he had a .267 batting average with a .664 OPS, slugged 16 homers, and had a positive 1.5 WAR. Jonah Bride was our 24th pick and third baseman. He's currently with the Minnesota Twins. He was with the O's for only a year and a half and spent 3.5 years as a bench player for the Twins. He had a really good 2027 season off the bench, hitting 14 home runs with an .826 OPS and a positive 1.6 WAR. Career numbers wise, he has a .233 average, has a .678 OPS, has hit 30 home runs and a positive 2.3 WARs. So he turned himself into a decent bench player. Moving on to our number 1 pick was our shortstop, Terrin Vavra. He's currently signed to a long-term deal with the Dodgers for 5 years, $72 million. He spent only 1 year with the O's before we shipped him off, had a 5-year career with the Indians, and just finished up his first year with the Dodgers. Career numbers, .247 average, .693 OPS, 89 home runs, and a 13.7 WAR. So clearly he had a very decent to good major league career. Bryce Denton was another high pick, coming in at number 4. He's currently with the Tigers, played left field for us. He was a part-time player for us for 2 years and for the Tigers for 3 years. Career numbers, .157 average, an abysmal .455 OPS, hit only 5 home runs, and has a career negative .2.5 WAR. Big disappointment for such a high pick. Our number 2 pick was center fielder Cameron Meisner. He is still with the Orioles. He's serving mainly as a defensive replacement as he had throughout his entire career, as he spent 7 seasons up and down with the O's. He does have a .293 career average with a .665 OPS, has hit 17 home runs, and carved out a positive 2.1 WAR. The last of our starting 9 was right fielder and number 5 pick Dylan Cousins. He is currently with the AAA affiliate for the Indians, the Clippers. Another defensive replacement, he started his career with a cup of coffee with the Phillies and spent just 1 year with the O's. He's had 2 seasons in the major leagues with the Indians, accumulating a .201 career average, .584 OPS, with 21 home runs. At the end of the day, he's a poor player with a negative 4 WAR. The last players we're going to look at are our bench. Starting off, we have Keon Wong, who was an infielder in our 25 pick. He started his career with the Angels, came up for a few games. He's currently with the New York Yankees. He spent 6 years with the Orioles and finished up his first year with the Yankees, but he did land a 3-year deal with the Yankees for $9 million. Career numbers, he has a .240 average, a .658 OPS, has hit 56 home runs and a positive 3 WAR, so not a bad player off the bench if that's what you're looking for. Our number 19 pick is up next. That's Austin Dean. He is currently with the Cleveland Indians. Before we picked him up, he spent 2 seasons in Miami. He spent 1 year with the O's and parts of 3 seasons with the Indians. Career numbers, he has a .266 average, a .585 OPS, 17 home runs, and a really poor negative 3.5 WAR. The second to last player we'll be looking at is our number 8 pick, backup outfielder Christian Fuentes, currently serving time with the Chicago Cubs. He had 2 seasons with the Orioles and has played a year and a half with the Cubs. Not sure why he didn't play after the 2022 season. It's a very interesting case. He had a breakout 2027 season, hitting .295, slugging 25 home runs, and a positive 6.8 WAR with an .884 OPS. Career numbers wise, he has a .277 average, a .765 OPS, 37 home runs, and an 11 WAR. This guy's getting on in age, and it seems like maybe we did ruin his career by bringing him up too early. The final player that we'll be looking at is our number 26 pick. He was the last pick in the Rule 5 draft. This is infielder Lucas Eric. He's still with the Orioles and has served as a part-time player for 5 seasons with the O's. He has his .264 career average with a .759 OPS, has slugged 65 homers and a positive 4.4 WAR. So what are our takeaways from this experiment? Well, career-wise, clearly, Terrin Vavra had the best career with the most money made. The single best season, though, came from our bench, Christian Fuentes, who had a good season in 2027. The best player for the Orioles was also a bench player, Lucas Egrick. He spent the most productive amount of time with the Orioles. So, should you draft your team using the Rule 5 draft? And the answer is obviously honestly, no. There are a few diamonds in the rough. You might get a Terran Vavra, you might get a serviceable bench player, but you don't want to go more than a round or two deep in that thing, or you're going to end up with a lot of career minor leaguers taking up spots on your major league roster. Okay, so that about wraps it up. I hope you guys had a good time. Put a lot of work into this one, so I hope you enjoyed it. I have some other ideas for future episodes, but if you have anything you'd like to see, any sort of challenges, let me know down in the comments. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.